Sarah.
No.
Candy.
Jenna.
Ellie. Virgil. No. Harley Beth.
Sam!
It is natural to shudder at the visual, telling, or idea of certain violence. Depending on the violent act, this can bring about many emotions and reactions from the reader or viewer. In the short story River of Names by Dorothy Allison, one of the most common themes in the story is abuse. But it is not just one act of violence. This violence takes the form of physical, child, and sexual abuse. As told by the narrator, the physical abuse in the story often involves the beating of family members, sometimes even leading to their death. It is mainly the male members of the family who start the violence, and most of the violent scenes are against the women in the family. This is seen when an uncle beats his wife, and when a family member named Randall tries to teach the narrator and her cousin Lucille how to wrestle. However, when the girls drop to the ground and curl into a ball, this angers Randall and he proceeds to kick and punch at the two girls before walking away. The most startling act of violence is when the narrator's cousin Butch is lit on fire by someone while inhaling gas fumes, resulting in his death. Through these acts of physical abuse, the violence affects the narrator, and she often finds herself waking up close to choking her girlfriend, who is asleep beside her. The abuse, however, is not strictly against adults. The worst is when it's against the children. One child, James, is blinded by one of the uncles who throws homebrewed alcohol in his face. Another scene is when the stepfather grabs the narrator's 7-year-old sister by the arm and swings her about until her arm is dislocated. Then there is the time when the stepfather grabs the narrator by the throat and slams her into the wall, threatening to kill her. Through the child abuse, this leads up to the worst type of abuse, which often involves the children. The narrator accounts that it was not just her when in her mother's bed being raped by her stepfather. There is also the mention of her cousin Billy being raped by an uncle, Lucille in the woods by another cousin, Danny who is gang raped in a parking lot. Then there is Pammy, raped by persons unknown, and Lou being raped on the floor in the holding tank at a downtown station. There is even a horrible joke cracked in the story about rape, which is on page 15 that goes, "What's a South Carolina virgin? That's a 10-year-old can run fast." The horrifying amount of sexual abuse in the story is even described in detail and brings about a terrible sense of horror which affects the narrator. All of these forms of abuse shape the narrator, even to the point where she doesn't want to even have kids, fearing that she might bring harm to this child she cares about. Because of this abuse, the narrator has this fascination with violence and often tries to hide her tales of horror, which when it comes to telling about the abuse can be a hard thing, especially when a river of names is endlessly repeating in her mind.